Welcome back to Off the Bar Podcast alongside Connor O'Brien. My name is Rafael de los Santos, and welcome to what is the fifth time we do wants and needs and wants. I call it both things every time. I don't even know what it is anymore. Because at first, when I sent it in the group chat, the idea of the episode, I was like, wants and needs. And then everyone else was calling it needs and wants.
It's just like a row with you. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. When you said the name, I had to, like, it entered my brain, and my brain was like, "What did he just say?" And like, I just saw a bunch of images in my head, and then I was like, "Oh, Araujo."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" Araujo. That was great. I thought you were saying something I did not know about, but yeah,
installation gap, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. I always called Ronald Araujo Nestor Araujo. You only know the difference, or like not the difference, but you only know both of them if you're like a La Liga buff of somewhat. But yeah, back to before we even went on that tangent. This is the fifth, I guess the fifth episode in a row that we do, because we did a part two on the Premier League one. So we have the first two Premier League ones, then we did a Serie A one, that would be the third one, La Liga for the fourth one. This being the fifth one, we're calling it quote unquote rest of the world, but if you've ever played FIFA and you've heard the term rest of the world for in terms of soccer or football, it's usually like, what would you consider rest of the world? Like Portuguese league, like Dutch league,
Portugal, the Scottish Premiership is always in there.
Yeah. For the sakes of our podcast, we're calling rest of the world like what I consider, and I'm fine standing by this statement, non-competitive leagues and Bundesliga and Liga. That's what we're calling the rest of the world, for the sake of like clumping them together so we could do them both in one episode. With that being said, the teams are going to be looking at specifically, because we're not going to be looking at the entire league for the sakes of not only time, but the fact that Bayern's going to win the league and PSG is going to win the league, and we know this to be true. We're going to be looking at Bayern. We're going to be looking at Dortmund. We're going to be looking at Leipzig. We're going to be looking at Leverkusen. So last year's top four. We're going to look at who they've brought into the team, who is leaving the team, what we think they should do to perhaps win the league or finish better than last year. Because like I said, PSG is winning the league and Bayern's winning the league. And in terms of PSG, we're just going to look at where they've put their oil money, because it's basically what they do every year. But yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's go let's go PSG first. Since they're like, since there's like the lone team in the league, and let's go PSG first. So looking at PSG last year, obviously they finished in first place, 15-point gap, which is the biggest point gap in the top 5 leagues last year. Needs, I had them like nothing, dude. They don't need anything. I literally put nothing question mark for their needs. Like when you look at their transfer window of who's come in and out, like they lost Di Maria, which I think is a big loss. But before we get into him, let's let's talk about him. Di Maria, how big? Let me just ask you straight off the bat. How big do you think that is in terms of like a loss for PSG? I know they have Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi, but Di Maria has always been like the consistent guy, because superstars and especially Neymar is really inconsistent. So sometimes they bring out Di Maria or start Di Maria, and Di Maria seems really effective because he doesn't have the spotlight on him. So what do you think the loss of Di Maria means for PSG?
Yeah, I think like just looking at it, like when you have like Messi missed a huge chunk last season, Neymar is constantly injured. Mbappe is pretty consistent, but like he needs playmakers around him too. And when you don't have like Messi there consistently and not in the best of form, and when you don't have Neymar there consistently for whatever reason, mostly because he's injured, it really helps to have that other playmaker in there in Di Maria that can go get Mbappe the ball, get the rest of the team the ball. When you don't have that, it really, really hurts the team. So especially someone as versatile as Di Maria, who can go in, play right wing, play left wing, play attacking mid if they need him to, very versatile. So in not having that player, I think that's not super sub, that guy that can come in, do spot starts, could play for big chunks when they like really need him to. I think they're really going to miss that when Neymar inevitably like messes up his hamstring and misses like 12 games in a row. And like, who's going to step up? Like the 19-year-old they just signed from like Hugo Ebiteke, they just signed from Rain, or like he's probably not ready. Icardi's not stepping up. Like their options are kind of like, what are you going to play Hakimi up? Like you need Di Maria in that lineup, or you need to go sign another playmaker. And when you don't have that, I think it really hurts that club.
I agree. I don't know. I've always looked at Di Maria as that guy that, like I said before, he's really consistent. Really steps up for them in big games. I remember, I think it was against United. It might have been like 2 years ago. He was gigantic. Like he was just scoring on United back to back, and he's just really dangerous because he's. I know I keep saying consistent, but that's what he is in a team that literally is so inconsistent. Always has been, in my opinion. They always will be because they tend to just buy players, stick them together in the lineup, throw a coach who's like submissive to all these players, and like try to play. It seems like a preseason match every time they play. Like they're good because the players are good rather than they're good because the system or the team is good. And I've always felt like that's always hindered just how they play. Obviously, Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, that's like the best attack in terms of like names. Dude, I think in terms of names, that's better than Benzema, Bale, Cristiano. That's better than Neymar's. That might be better than Neymar, Suarez, Messi in terms of names, not even in terms of like how they performed. Um, I think losing Di Maria is gigantic. Other than that, to be fair to them, they didn't really lose anyone else. Like, what did they lose? Xavi Simmons. Like, they didn't really lose anyone else, and instead they made some of the best signings in terms of like the past that I've seen PSG make. They usually make what I think are really bad signings, but they went out and got Mukiele for only 13 million. Talking about a guy that's very young, very versatile, very strong. Can play right back, can also play center back. They went out and got Vitinha. I don't know too much about Vitinha because I didn't really watch. I think he came from like Porto or something. I don't really watch Porto that much other than in Champions League. But the few games I've seen him play in, he looked like a really creative like midfielder, kind of an attacker, which is somewhat backwards because they don't really have a CDM other than like what Danilo Pereira, unless you want to count Leandro Paredes as a CDM or like Verratti as a holding midfielder. But they don't really, in my opinion, they don't have like a Casemiro, which I think is really important when you have Neymar who's not coming back on defense, and Mbappe who's not coming back on defense, and Messi who's not coming back on defense. Like we all remember that meme after I forgot what game where like the whole front three of PSG was like by the goal and they didn't even have the ball like anymore. So I think that's something that they need to be looking out for. How good they are defensively with that super attacking front three. Also, like the players that are rumored to leave, I think that Mukiele was a good signing because there's supposed to be a rumor, and I'm guessing you're like the best person for it. A rumor of Kimpembe going to Chelsea.
I mean, Kimpembe is great, but I think like if you're PSG, you got to be stupid if you let Kimpembe go. He's like if you're looking at like U23 center backs, dare I say, I think he's top 10 in the world. I mean, he makes the French national squad regularly. He's a regular starter for Paris Saint-Germain.
Is he that young? He's 26, bro.
Is he 26? There's no way he's 26. Yeah.
He's 26.
That's Thomas Mueller aging. That's the opposite of Thomas Mueller.
26, bro.
Jesus Christ. Thomas Mueller's been 34 for like 10 years. But anyways, Kimpembe, well, I guess it's the, we'll call him Kimpembe. Never mind. Yeah, it's good. Kimpembe Lingard is what I was trying to do with that. But, oh, man, I thought he was like 22, but I mean, you have a really good defender that wants to be at the club. I don't know why you would get rid of him just because. Like,
I mean, his market value is like 44 million. He's 26 years old and he's never been like insane. You have Marquinhos, who is insane. You have Sergio Ramos. You have Thilo Kerr. You have Diallo, who sometimes plays left back, but he's really a center back. You just got Mukiele, who can play right back, even though Hakimi is there, but has been known to play center back for Leipzig. It's like how Real Madrid sold Varane. They could afford to do it. They had guys that are promising behind them, and it's not even like a promising thing. Like Marquinhos is better than Kimpembe. Sergio Ramos can play in Liga 1 for sure. I don't know how Sergio Ramos plays anymore because I haven't seen him play in forever because he was hurt last season. But you just brought in Mukiele. Like you can afford to sell Kimpembe to Chelsea, who are desperately looking for a center back after Barcelona stole their lunch money. And you could sit here and say you didn't want Koundé, but Koundé would have been insane at Chelsea.
I've known in the group chat to have said I don't want Koundé because he's 5'9", and I will stand by that. And I do not care.
5'10", buddy. Give him extra inch.
He's 5'9", and he's wearing 5'10" in shoes does not count. That's NBA. 5'10". That's NBA measurements, man. I'm not.
Wait, just because you haven't seen him dribble, dude. I think I was watching Sevilla versus Barcelona game. Too bad Danny's not here to confirm this, but it was Sevilla versus Barcelona. And like Koundé like dribbled from center back all the way to like into the box of Barcelona. Like just dribbled through the entire team. That guy's insane.
Yeah. I don't know. I apparently, like I was reading today, apparently the reason he didn't want to go to Chelsea is because Tuchel wanted him to basically take Azpilicueta's role from last year, where he would start a lot of games at center back and then also start games at right wing back, which he didn't want to do.
No idea. I'm just in terms of like if I'm Koundé, if like Chelsea wants me and Barca wants me, I'm going to Barca. But I'm biased because I'm
it sounds like he wanted to go to Chelsea until something happened. That's all I'm saying. It sounds like
Barca wanted him
until Tuchel came up and was like, "You're playing right back." And also, how are they going to pay? How are they going to pay him? They have no money.
I know, man. They're selling their soul. They now have they have a sponsor. Barca jerseys and like Real Madrid jerseys are known for like being really clean in terms of like you have the big sponsor in your chest, then it's just Nike or Adidas badge. That's it.
Yeah.
Barca's been known to have like the Toyo tires or whatever. They used to, I don't even remember what it is anymore, on one of their sleeves. Now they have a sponsor on their ass, like on top of their butt. Like they're selling their souls to get money. They already sold the Camp Nou is now Spotify Camp Nou. Everyone knows that.
Barca jerseys are about to look like the middle of a newspaper, just filled with ads.
They're selling everything. They're making money like left and right. They're probably gonna get sold the pie, like, and I don't even know, dude.
The pie's linked to Tottenham. I mean that club just, I don't know. Maybe pay guys like this. You got those. Maybe pay some dudes. Maybe pay Frankie De Jong and don't.
And too bad Michael's not here because he knows the whole thing about like register, like they have to register the players with La Liga or whatever, and they haven't done that yet. The whole debacle from last year that happened with, I forgot who it was, that they hadn't registered them yet. I think it was Aubameyang or something like that. But back to the root of this absolute vineyard of going off topic. Kimpembe to Chelsea is possible. So I see why they got, what's his name? Mukiele. Why they got Mukiele, French compatriot. They also might lose Idrissa Gueye back to Everton, but like I said, they have Paredes, they have Verratti, they have Danilo Pereira, they just got Vitinha. They can afford to lose a midfielder. In terms of expectation for PSG, like, bro, it's PSG. Leo like took the title 2 years ago from them, like, but that's just not happening again. Which is kind of sad because it would, in a perfect world, you'd want the French championship to be more competitive because there are so many young players that are really good coming out of the French league. Like Real Madrid, who's looted them the French league twice now, for Camavinga and for Tchouaméni, and many more players. I think PSG was it PSG? I think it might have been Bayern who bought a center back. Someone bought a center back for like 20 million from like Stade Rennes. I don't remember, but I was looking at it and I was just thinking, like, dude, how, like,
I know they just sold Tell, I think, too. He's a striker though. They just sold Tell to Bayern.
Point is, you'd want like,
they sold him to West Ham. Naif Aguerd.
Yeah, you'd want the French champion, and that's something I was thinking about when I was watching the MLS the other day. You'd want the French championship to be more competitive because you want to see these young guys play. And I think the MLS could, if you want anyone to watch the MLS ever, your point should not be to just like, oh, bring in Gareth Bale, bring in Insigne, bring in Chiellini. Like, people are going to watch. Yes, people are going to watch for that. But how cool would it be, like, if you could entice veterans to come over and you could be like imagine if every team had a upcoming like young star that everyone wants to watch, or like young stars, because look how big our country is, look how big the US is. Like, there has to be good soccer players like somewhere, bro. So
I mean you've seen that a lot. Like, a lot of these guys come up, like even in MLS, like recently Caden Clark, Paxton Aronson, Brendan Aronson, his older brother, McKennie's come through there. Like, all these guys come through MLS. The problem is just that we're gonna eventually do a whole MLS episode, and we'll get to this and break it down. But like, they don't have the marketing and the stability for that league does not exist there yet, and the incentivization to go to Europe and blow your career up and like make yourself huge as a soccer player, actually compete for something, is so enticing that everybody that's worth anything in the United States ends up going over there.
Well, yeah, the Europe is always going to have a Champions League, which is something that's not a thing. Like in CONCACAF, CONCACAF has its own Champions League, but it's never going to be UEFA. UEFA, like how big that is. So I guess we'll always hold that advantage, but I'm just saying, like Ligue 1 and MLS, the only difference is Ligue 1 has Messi and Mbappe and Neymar, and they have PSG right now.
PSG,
I mean, they have other big teams like Lyon and stuff, but that's just because they're in Europe.
I mean, what does Renato Sanchez do that like? Oh God, let me think. That like
you're about to say something crazy.
I was about to say something crazy. Stop me from putting this. Stop me right my action put this take out.
Renato Sanchez would kill everyone.
What does Fonte at Lille do that Walker Zimmerman does not?
Dude, Fonte won the Euros.
That's a better take. I almost said Renato Sanchez. That's a better take than Renato Sanchez. What is like oh God, let me think of it. What does Kimpembe do that Miles Robinson cannot?
A lot.
I know.
But to finish off with PSG, let me ask you this. Obviously, we expect them to be first place in Ligue 1, 100%. Champions League wise, what is your expectation for them?
Well, what is my expectation of them, or what is the club's expectation?
No, their expectation is to win.
They need to win the thing. Like, I don't think they're going to win the Champions League. I don't think they're quite there yet in terms of. I really do think like this era, like Mbappe's their guy. I really do think that, and I think they'll win a Champions League with him at some point. I think they have to get out.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think Mbappe will ever win. It's not because I'm a Real Madrid fan. I'm just telling you straight up. I don't think Mbappe will ever win Champions League in that jersey.
I don't know. I think if you can build, like, it feels like right now the new sporting director they got, I'm blanking on his name, but he it feels like he's more interested in actually building a team. And when you have, I just don't think in their, like, Messi to me will be there through this season, maybe through next season, and then he's done. So that window is very short, and I don't think they're going to win in the like immediate future. I don't think Neymar's the guy there, and I think they're going to eventually, like, he misses all these games. He's constantly injured. He's expensive. He's had problems with the club. There's questions of his fit with Mbappe. You've seen videos of him in like practice recently where Mbappe's just straight up like ignoring him. Like, why, like at this point, genuinely, why is Neymar at the club still? Outside of his
spent so much money on him, so he has to work.
They're tied to him. But
my problem with PSG is that they have no identity. The best teams, you look at the last three, dude, you can look at every single team that's won Champions League in the last decade. They have an identity. You can go down the line. Real Madrid, what's Real Madrid's identity? We all know what Real Madrid's identity is. Playing 4-3-3, the most classic midfield since Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta. Carvajal is a staple. Benzema, they've kind of switched it. They've kind of switched from a counter-attacking thing to like Benzema playing like as a god up there and Vinicius and the wingers attacking. But they have an identity. Like Carvajal is like raised from the Real Madrid system. You have guys like, there's been like a shift from like bringing guys up from the academy to like buying really young guys and letting them develop in the team, like Vinicius and Rodrigo. You have Valverde, who they bought from Uruguay when he was really young, and he's come up basically through the academy. Like, they have an identity. Look at Chelsea. Chelsea's one of the best academies in world football. Mason Mount is their own player, like, and you can say it better than me. Like all those guys, Reece James, you could go down the line. A bunch of their players are theirs. Barca is known for that. Bayern too. Bayern's known for that. Who else won the Champions League? That's basically all the teams in the last decade. But
if you're talking about identity, still like that, like if you don't have an identity as a soccer team, that's devastating to your team. Like if you look at even like Chelsea still as an example, like Chelsea under Lampard, under Sarri, had no identity as a club. You get Tuchel in here who comes in, immediately gets like strong defensive team, crushes the counter. That's the whole identity of the team. That's everything we play, everything we go through. That's the identity of the club. Without that at PSG, because he was at PSG, made the Champions League final with him at PSG, he gets sacked. Without him there, it feels like they've completely just lost their identity. They're just playing around. And if they didn't play in such a honestly farmers league, and I hate to use that term because I think it's a little stupid, but like PSG should win that league with their financial backing every single year. If they're playing in even like Bundesliga, I feel like they come in third. If you're playing,
They don't
if
come
they're
in third. They'll
come in
definitely
third.
just not win every year.
No,
I don't know.
no,
Maybe on a fluke year they'll come in third.
I mean, PSG cannot do it on a cold day in Stoke, dude. Like, there's no way they can just come into a club. They're not fit. There's no identity at the club, and I think that is crucial to them. I think that's why they're failing.
What I'm saying is, like, where are the academy players on PSG? I can't like. I know Kimpembe is an academy player. Colin Dagba used to be, but they sold him. So all right, Becky Habakimi, he's not. Donnarumma, a goalie, he's not. Left back Nuno Manch, he's not. Marquinhos, if you're pairing him with Kimpembe, Kimpembe is. Marquinhos is not technically, but I'll give it to them because they bought him really early and he was no one. Marquinhos was no one when they bought him and they made him. So I'll give him Marquinhos and Kimpembe. Verratti, he's not, but I'll also give that to them, I guess, because they got him like from Pescara or something, like, and he was nothing. Paredes is not. Who was in the midfield? Do you want to put the Pereira? No. Draxler? No. We all know the top three aren't.
Yeah. I mean, and even if you look at their academy, it's not like they don't have good players that come from their academy. Like off the top of my head, like Christopher Nkunku at Leipzig, he's incredible. He's incredible. He's straight out of that academy. They could have had him. He said this whole like the entire reason he didn't take a transfer this year is because he wants to go back to PSG at some point.
Dude, so the first time I ever heard of Gio Lo Celso was him playing at PSG.
Yeah. Kingsley Coman too, like straight out of that club.
Kingsley Coman too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like those immediately come to mind. It's not like they don't have the players that come through there. They're just so into. We need to get Messi. We need to get Neymar. We need to get.
That's what I'm saying. There's no identity. You're basically selling a bunch of guys that you think are good, and you go like, yeah, go out there and play. So it seems like a preseason game. Because what you do in preseason, like in preseason, what do you see the coaches doing? They give out some instructions and things like that, but they're just sitting down. Why? So they're just letting them play. So that's basically what it seems like. If I'm Messi, bro, and who they have last year, Pochettino goes like, "I'll do this." I'm gonna be like, "Yeah," but in the back of my head, I'm gonna be like, "I think I could do better. I could do this or that." But they just have no identity. And yes, their expectation is first place for League One. And if you ask them, they're gonna tell you that they're trying to win the Champions League because so is every team. But realistically, I don't know. It's so weird because I think they could still do it because of like on paper how good they are. But I know that it doesn't turn to work out that way. Because I think their midfield's too weak and their defense is like prove it to me. And then not Donnarumma in a PSG jersey is not Donnarumma that they expected him to be. So I don't know. It depends on who they match up because it's Champions League and it's like a bracket and it's a lottery and all that. But realistically, I don't think they'll win the Champions League, which is what they should be going for the amount of money that they're paying for these players and the amount of money they are paying these players. I think they're gonna win. I think, like off the top of my head, teams that have better teams. Like I think Barca has a better team now than them. I think that Man City has a better team than them. Liverpool have to. I think Liverpool has a better team, but they somewhat have to like prove that they're good without money. I don't know. I like teams. I don't know. When a team loses a player like that, I want to see like show it to me again. I don't want to say Real Madrid because even last year I said that Real Madrid wasn't built to win the Champions League, and then they won. I still don't think they're built to win the Champions League.
A crazy reverse jinx you pulled, by the way.
I don't know. I still don't think they're. I
them for still, and then here just to spite you.
Dude, I still don't think they're built to win the Champions League, but they miracle back-to-back miracles. I don't know. If they had Mbappe, they'd be built to win the Champions League.
You don't need Mbappe. You can play a midfielder at right wing, and it still works out because your team is that stacked.
Look, what do you need is to play Carvajal right back. That's it. That's literally all they need. But if Carvajal's injured again, like Jesus Christ, please get it right back or something. But moving on from PSG, who we obviously said they should win the league, but I don't think they're winning the Champions League. But they should be one of the favorites for the UCL like they are every year. Let's move on to the Bundesliga segment of this episode, starting with the team that I think is going to finish fourth place out of the four that we've picked, Leverkusen. Even though they finished third last year, I think they're going to drop because just like PSG, and I guess worse than PSG, when I was looking at who they've brought into the club to like uphold their third place or perhaps overtake Dortmund, who lost Haaland, they've brought in no one. They've done nothing to make their team better.
Not a big move club, man. I mean, if you look at that club too, like Verts is going to miss the beginning of the season, ACL injury. Not a lot else going on with that club. You're missing your best player. Every other team in Bundesliga has made moves except you. I would imagine. I kind of feel like they might not finish top 4, to be honest. But I think we're like, and honestly, dude, like Julian Wirtz is going to go to a better club. Like these guys that are at that club are going to end up at a better club at some point. I could very easily see Julian Verts going to like Madrid, for example. I feel like he could fit in as a right wing.
The thing with Julian Wirtz is that he got injured, and it was an ugly injury. So I think he has another season, like this season at Leverkusen for sure. If he shows out again like he did the previous season, then yeah, you're talking about a move away. Same thing with Nkunku, I guess. I expected Nkunku to move to a big club this transfer window, and it just hasn't happened. But I don't know. But like you said, it might be because he wants to go back to PSG. They brought in Adam. I don't even know. To be honest, I'm good with names, and that last name is crazy. He's from Czech Republic. Adam Slozek.
Let me look at all that.
Crazy. It's Hlozek. I've heard of him because he played in the Euros for Czech Republic. And he used to be I think Sparta Prague player. But Adam Slozek, I saw him play. He looked really promising. He's really young. He's 19 years old. They paid 13 million for him. I guess that's their Wirtz replacement somewhat, or just an attacking replacement. I like that signing from them. But other than that, they haven't brought in anyone. But they also haven't lost anyone. But like you said, every other team around them has brought in a lot of people. When you look at their lineup, it's just the same thing as last year. You have Lucas Herdecki at goalie, Tapsova and Ta and center back. You have Sinkrabin or Backer at left back, Frimpong at right back. Demirbay, Palacios, Aranguiz in the middle. Guys that we're used to seeing. Florian Wirtz, obviously, at attacking mid, but he's injured, so we see what happens with him. Musa Diaby and Paulinho, Bellarabi, Lozek, who they just brought in, Patrick Schick up top, who was, I think, the second leading scorer in Bundesliga last season. Obviously, like we're looking for him to do the same thing again, or maybe take top scorer this season because Erling Haaland and Lewandowski are gone. But other than that, they just haven't brought in anyone, so I just have him at 4th, and they could definitely drop further than that.
Yeah, I mean, I could easily see like Frankfurt like getting 4th. I feel like Frankfurt's about due to like be up there. I mean, coming off there.
I don't know. We're giving them credit for the Europa League, but they finished 11th last season. So
I mean, you just focus on what you focus on, man. You know, like we're doing this. I do this podcast. I could have kept more hours at work this week, man. Like I'm focusing on the pods of the paycheck, man.
I get what you're saying, but I think as a team, you gotta go for everything that you can go for. Man. But that just might be a big club mentality. But moving on from them, because I just literally like they could finish 4th. They could also finish like 10th in my eyes. I don't know. Like there's nothing impressive about them. Realistically, they should be shooting for top 4 because of the players that they have. They could easily finish in Europa League or Conference League. But moving on from them, looking at Leipzig, Dortmund and Bayern, starting with Leipzig, who I think will finish 3rd. As we already know, they lost Mukiele. Dude, Leipzig has been so disappointing in my eyes in terms of like what I thought they should be doing by now with the amount of money that they've generated. Like when you look back at the players that Leipzig has sold, like Naby Keita, dude, Timo Werner. So did Szoboszlai ever make it there? No, he was in the.
Even if you just look at this summer, like Mukiele is gone, Tyler Adams is gone, Konrad Laimer is about to go to Bayern. Like you have all these like there's so many good players that come to that club, and the fact that they have not really finished, even contended really for. They're always. It feels like since they've like had this takeover, they become really good, got all these promotions. They consistently finish like top 3 or 4 in Bundesliga, but it's always like 3 or 4.
Yeah, they never make a real push.
It feels like they're a team that's primed to like make that next push, like go do something like really pertinent in Europe, go actually contend for the league, especially when like you had an opportunity last year when Bayern was not as good. They didn't finish as high as they normally do. Nagelsmann has said like this is a multi-year project. I don't know if I expect to win the league every single year. Lewandowski's leaving. Like you have opportunities right now. Haaland just left Dortmund. That team's weak too. Like you have opportunities right now to capitalize, and they're selling players who honestly they'd want to go, but like you're also not really bringing in guys to the club like that. Like if you look at who they brought in this summer, they brought in David Raum, who was excellent last year at Hoffenheim, but you have Angelino already. What are you going to platoon left backs? You're going to play one of them out of position at right wing back? Like, I don't know what they're like. To me, it's just you're just settling into the third. You're like, we're good with third place. That's what it says to me.
I mean, they did generate a lot of money, and like I agree with you. You should expect them to, with this money, buy players. I don't know. The thing is, this is why I dislike teams that are, like you have the City Group, and now you have the, what was it that RB stood for?
Red
It
Bull.
was
I think it's
no,
not.
no,
It's
no.
no. It's not
It's some other. It's something.
Red Bull. It's not actually
Yeah.
Red. No, we did this in class. Esterline told us about this. It's not actually Red Bull.
It's like
It's
rosin
it's
something.
Rosenberger or something like. But
Yeah, but
it is essentially
that
Red Bull.
group, right? So we get our, like, you have Leipzig, then you have the one in Austria. What's the one in Austria called again? Dude, I'm blanking.
Salzburg.
Salzburg. So we all know that they have that group, then you have like the City Group. The problem that I have with those teams, is that like you have the top one, right? So I guess Leipzig would be the top RB group, and then you have obviously Man City's the top City group, but the other teams are never going to be good because they're just farms for the big teams. So it's like annoying to see. Like they sold Tyler Adams, like you said, 23-year-old for 20 million to Leeds. Hwang Hee-chan finally like completed his move for real to Wolves for 16 million. Brian Brobby went to Ajax for 16.35. Nordi Mukiele, like we said, went to PSG for 12 million. Like they're making all this money, but they're not making competitive moves to get these like players back because they don't need to. Because if Leipzig wins the league, great, but like their job isn't to win the league. Their job is just to make like money. Like that's what it looks like. Like I'd expect them as the top RB group to like at least be good. I don't know. Like they got Schlager from Wolfsburg, which is I think is a good signing. 24-year-old. I've seen him play before for 12 million. Like that's good. But other than that, like they just haven't done anything. They got a couple guys back from loan. Like they got Adamola Lookman. I think he's a really good player.
Well, he's getting sold to Atalanta though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like why it's like every time. He had a not amazing, but like a good season for Leicester, and on a team that needs wing depth to immediately just be like straight to Atalanta. Like it's just, they don't like I don't know. It's confusing to me to see a team that's saying like we want to compete, and you're selling Tyler Adams, you're selling like all these guys that are like Conrad Lamer Sands and Kunku, he's probably their second best player in their whole squad. He's very good. And I get the Bayern move. I get like if I'm a player that wants to play in the Bundesliga, you should aspire to play for Bayern. But like keep your guys, like compete. And they've just shown me nothing that shows me they want to compete. And when you look at like their roster, when they have like Christopher Nkunku, Danny Olmo, Szoboszlai, Andre Silva, like Klosterman, Vardiol, Angelino, like all of these guys, I'm just looking at guys that are going to leave in a year or two. And they'll probably bring in more young players that'll be good too. But like, this is not a team that feels like it's going to compete, actually.
I agree. It's like I said, like, I don't understand why they don't try to be more competitive, like the way that City is with the City group. But I don't know. I guess they just want to make money or something. I don't really understand it. That's why I have them finishing third. They were able to win the domestic cup in Germany last year, so they find success here and there. But their team's only going to get worse if they just keep like buying really young and hoping that they're good and developing them and doing all that work just to sell them. So like they're just never going to be competitive like Dortmund and Bayern. Like Dortmund does the same thing, but like getting young players and stuff just to sell them. But Dortmund's way more competitive. Bayern just gets players to win, which I respect. Yeah. But I guess that's a natural transition to who I think is going to finish in second place, and I guess that's like who everyone thinks is going to finish second place. And Dortmund. Really quick look at Dortmund. Last year they finished second place, obviously. So we're talking about no improvement whatsoever. And I guess that's like a good thing when you lose Erling Haaland, best Dortmund player in like since what Dembele, bro. For 60 million to City, obviously you'd hope that they'd make more money off Haaland, but his contract allowed him to leave for 60 million. They lost Axel Witsel, who isn't the biggest hit ever, for free to Atletico Madrid. They lost both their backup goalies in Berkey and Hitz to St. Louis City and FC Basel, respectively. Zagadou, who was supposed to be like the next big thing at center back, his contract ran out, so I don't know what's going on with him or what's happening with the center backs at Dortmund. I put this in just for fun, but Rainier is going back to Real Madrid. His loan is ending.
Super impactful player for them.
Expected that guy to be better too, but he barely gets to play. They made some really good signings though, Dortmund. Really exciting ones.
Yeah. I mean, if you looked at their signings, like obviously like losing Erling Haaland, arguably the best pure striker in the world. He's the best U23 striker in the world right now, in my opinion. And that's because I see Mbappe as a left wing. But like when you look, like losing Haaland is a huge hole. $75 million move, big air quotes, because that probably was like 300 to Manchester City. And I do like the moves they made to replace him. Like they got the immediate impact guy. They got Sebastian Haller, which honestly should have worked out. He was amazing last season for Ajax. I think I'm not sure if he finished his Champions League Golden Boot or if he didn't, because Benzema took him over, right?
Yeah.
But he was at one point like Golden Boot for several months of the year, like last year. Like, he had a very, very good season for Ajax. Did end up hurting his knee. Will be out for the entire season for them. But
that's what happened. That's not what happened. They found during his physical, they found like a mass that might be testicular cancer.
Oh, I did not. I honestly just Twittered it.
Yeah, that's what I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Saw the word knee and I was like, I'm good. Did not really check into that. Bad podcasting, but no, if you look at the future for them, like Karim Adeyemi was very, very good for Salzburg last season. Yusuf Moukoko, who is still very, very young, I believe he's 16, but is shown promise so far as started games for them. Daniel Malin's still there. You still have guys on the market they could get to fill that immediate hole, like Edinson Cavani, Dries Mertens, maybe Diego Costa, who's still there. Like, it feels like outside of the striker spot, they built like a really, really solid team. Like, also signed like their biggest problem last season was defense.
Did you see? Yeah, I thought you might just be heading to mention it, but like Schlotterbeck from Freiburg.
We're getting Schlotterbeck. Like, yeah. So obviously, like Dortmund's defense was incredibly poor last season. Gave up 52 goals, 34 Bundesliga games, which is atrocious for a team that finished second. Like if you look at that defense, like Hummels he's washed. Like there's no other way to say he's washed. Like Akanji was not good last year. Other center backs were bad or have left or were hurt. Nico Schlotterbeck, who they just signed from Freiburg, is very good. Like Sule, who they just signed from Bayern, is very good. Like you have a lot of good guys. Like I like their signings. I think they really strengthened their squad. And you're getting guys back that were hurt last year. Just looking at like going down the list of guys that were hurt last season that missed games that will be coming back for them. Gio Reyna starting right wing for them, very good. Thomas Meunier starting right back. Dahoud starting defensive mid. Hummels missed games. Thorgan Hazard missed games. Guerreiro, they're starting left back missed games. Emre Can, they all missed games. So getting all these guys back and these new signings to strengthen the squad, I think will really strengthen that squad. And I think they have a very serious chance to like be competitive.
Yeah, especially with like, I guess he has gone somewhat under the radar now, especially since Dortmund lost Haaland, and that's what everyone talks about. They still have Jude Bellingham on that team.
Yeah.
I can expect him to have a breakout season, probably leave. But I guess that's just the identity of Dortmund, making players so that they can leave, which is sad because then Bayern just wins every single year. But moving on to Bayern then, since Dortmund's like doomed for second place and Bayern is always going to get first place in this league, I don't care what anyone says, this might be the least competitive league in the entire world. Like, effectively so, because Leo obviously beat PSG 2 years ago. So this must be the least competitive league, even though like I guess it isn't, because Ligue 1 is the least competitive league. But Bayern's like, I don't even know how many years running now, Bundesliga champions. But looking at their team, obviously they, out of everyone, they took the biggest hit. To start off, obviously they got first place last year, 8-point gap, which is the lowest winning gap for Bayern in the Bundesliga since 2018-2019, when Dortmund were like right there, close to them. But when I say that they took the biggest hit, I think that losing, just a quick fire question, do you think losing Lewandowski for Bayern is a bigger hit than Dortmund losing Haaland in terms of being competitive in the league?
Yeah, because I think that team can lose Haaland and still be competitive, because Haaland missed a lot of games last season. They still finished second. Lewandowski is like the best the best pure striker in the world, I think, in terms of like you look at his goal scoring. Like no one's gonna come in, like no one can come into that club, not even Sadio Mane, no one can come into that club and just put up 50 goals in a season.
Well, I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know. I think a
Harry
lot
Kane
of players can
good.
definitely
Like,
do it. And
that can
okay,
actually go. That can actually go there. Like the amount of like, I think Lewandowski's a huge hole. Like that's not be easily replaced. I think that's the biggest hole in world soccer right now is replacing Lewandowski's goal scoring for them.
I agree, but just to go back to what you said, definitely a lot of players in the Premier League and a lot of players in the Liga could definitely go to Bundesliga and drop 50 easy. Mo Salah could definitely do it. Harry Kane could definitely do it. Heung-min Son could probably do it. Karim Benzema could do it. Like all those guys could do it. It's the Bundesliga. They'd kill them. But I agree. The biggest hole to fill in all of Europe in terms of transfer market right now was Barcelona in a lot of positions, but now they've definitely patched that up. And I think it falls to Bayern now, losing the Lewandowski. They also lost Chris Richards, which is huge in terms of U.S. men's national team news. Chris Richards is going to Crystal Palace, I believe, for 12 million after he was loaned out to Hoffenheim. But he is naturally a Bayern player, and this year they decided to offload him to the Premier League. So 12 million for an American center back is pretty huge. Obviously, they lost Sule for free to Dortmund, but these aren't big hits. Lewa is definitely a big hit, but they've in their defense, they've done really well to at least attempt to patch it up. They've gotten De Ligt for 67 million, which I think is they got robbed. Like at least to me, De Ligt has to prove to me that he's worth that money because I've never seen him.
Oh, you're saying Bayern got robbed.
Bayern got robbed, broad daylight.
You gotta watch some Juve ball, dude. Like,
Maybe I do.
That was the best defender on Juve the last like year or two.
Who cares? He finished like fourth.
No, but it's like the reason they're finishing fourth is not because that defending is not good. The reason they're finishing fourth is because they haven't had a striker that was like decent and like actually like cared. Like there was the system is like whatever with Juve, but De Ligt is the real deal. He's going to be at some point in his career the best defender in the world, and getting him for I honestly think 70 mil for him is a steal. When you look at like transfers, this might be the Prem fan of me, but when you see like Harry Maguire going for like 86 mil.
Yeah, that's called a mistake. Here's what it is. Here's what it is. I'm not even sure how much Barca got Koundé for. It wasn't anywhere in the 60s or the 50s, I believe. How much did you guys get Koulibaly for? 30?
39. But he's also 31. You're getting
you're getting but it's still Koulibaly in his prime.
If you're looking at De Ligt, he's what 24, 25. You're getting him for potentially the next 15 years. So that's probably, I mean, in my opinion, like if I'm looking at that,
I guess I don't know.
Like you got Mane for like they got Mane, Mazraoui, him, Gravenberch for under, and they're about to sign Konrad Leimer too from Leipzig that we just talked about. But all of those guys, those are 5 very, very, very good players for under 150 mil. That's an excellent window.
I think it's a really good window when you take into account everyone. But like 67 million for De Ligt alone, I think that if I'm the guy working the finances at Bayern, I'm like, listen, Juve, you kind of sucked. So like you need this money for this player that doesn't want to be there. I would try to work the price down. So I think 67 million is a lot. Can he live up to it? Of course. Any player can live up to anything because like players can just get good out of nowhere. Look at Vinicius. Like I would have sold you Vinicius for a pair of socks 2 years ago. But now he's for sure the most expensive player in La Liga. I'm not even gonna look it up. I know he is. But anything can happen. So can he live up to it? Of course. But 67 million for De Ligt right now, I think it's I don't know. To me, that's like they got robbed a little bit. Mane for 32, decent. This is the guy I was looking for. 20-year-old center back from Stade Rennais. Mathis Tel. That's the guy I was looking for earlier. They signed him. I don't even know. I think they must have done it for 20 million, I believe. But just goes to show there's a lot of talent in Ligue 1. We already knew that, but I'm just saying MLS and Ligue 1 could look into that, like being showcasing talent rather than trying to bring all these guys that just don't really work. And obviously, if you play FIFA, you know who Gravenberch is. 19 million for him, I think is an absolute steal. He's built he's like 6'4", bro. He dribbles like a madman. So a lot of potential there, especially playing at Bayern, where it's like really easy to play in the league. So you could actually play him a lot of games. Mazraoui is a really good steal because they sold him from Barca. He was supposed to go to Barca. They got him for free at right back. Solid player. We've known him since their like Champions League run where it was him, Ziyech, De Jong, and all those guys. Mazraoui, really good steal for Bayern, especially for free. Um, but it's crazy because there's nothing to talk about here. Like there's no like we could sit here and say like Lewandowski's a huge hit for Bayern, but at the end of the day, they're still gonna win. They're still gonna win the league.
You're still going to win the league. It's just how do you? I think the bigger question is how do you replace that production when you get to Champions League and you get to other teams that are as good as you? Like the biggest question for them is still you can't, but you can.
You can't.
It's more. I had an idea for this that I wanted to run by you, see what you thought. Just while we're on the pod, Thomas Mueller, false nine.
What?
As like a replacement. So instead of playing, you play. This was my thought, right? So obviously the back four next year is going to be Mazraoui, Upamecano, De Ligt, Davies, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the surplus of guys in midfield, right? You have Thomas Mueller in midfield. You have Goretzka in midfield, Kimmich in midfield, Sabitzer in midfield, Gravenberch in midfield, Conrad Leimer is coming into the club. Like you have all Musiala is still there. Like you have all of these guys. You basically have like 6 or 7 midfielders that you need to get into 3 spots, and you're already missing that striker spot. So why don't you just create that 4th spot, get another guy in there? Move Mueller up to false 9, play like Kimmich, Goretzka, Leimer in that midfield. And then you have like Mane left, Gnabry right, just coming in, get them the goals, get the midfield to push up, get the fullbacks to push up. Like I feel like you could almost replace the production, I think, with team goal scoring and just like consistent, like Mane can go, like Mane's older, he's a little past his prime now, but he can get 30 goals between Champions League and Bundesliga. Gnabry should do that too. If you let Mueller choke up more, he can get those goals too. Like let the midfield push up. I think it might be I think that might be a better idea than like forcing like Sane and Kingsley Coman in there and forcing like Mane to play centrally.
I mean, anything's worth a try for Julian Nagelsmann at this point because you just lost Lewandowski, and usually when teams lose players like that, they suck. Look at Real Madrid when they lost Ronaldo. Look at Barca when they lost Messi. That's just what happens. So that's why I'm like, when you ask me how they replace this when it comes to Champions League, they don't. They just buy the players and cross their fingers. They're not favorites, is what it is for Champions League. They're not. They have a lot to prove. I think they've dropped off from being favorites with Lewandowski to they're not favorites anymore. They're just a really good team that could make a run because anything's possible in Champions League, but I wouldn't put them in favorites. Favorites, I'd say, are like obviously Real Madrid because they won last year. So every time a team wins, they're favorites the next season. Barca, but maybe I'm biased because I'm a La Liga fan. Man City, PSG, Liverpool, I guess. But going back to Bayern, yeah, they could try Thomas Müller at center forward. Why not? I like Thomas Müller more as a cam that can feed a striker. So maybe trying out Mane as striker and playing Gnabry, but also giving Kingsley Coman a chance at left wing. So maybe playing Gnabry right wing, then Mane as striker because he's done that for Liverpool, and then Thomas Müller behind him, and then you could play Kimmich and then Goretzka maybe. You can try anything. I don't really like Alphonso Davies at left back because I think he can defend and save his life. I would much rather. I'd have way more fun watching him try to play left wing or right wing because he does that for Canada, right?
He does choke up a lot for Canada. He's played centrally for Canada. He's played about everywhere you could possibly play for Canada. But I mean, let him play like his shapeshifters card, man. Let him play striker.
Yeah, like I don't know. Maybe they're trying to develop him, like because if he can defend, like if Alphonso Davies can defend, we're looking at the next Jordi Alba, the next Marcelo, like a solid defender that can attack. We all know that's a recipe for having an insane team. Because look at Hakimi, look at Joao Cancelo. That's what makes a really good fullback. Look at Trent Alexander-Arnold somewhat because he can defend, save his life. But look at Andy Robertson, like guys that can defend at least somewhat, like. They're just not like a liability and can go up. That's what makes a really, 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 really good team, a competitive team, and a favorite to win the Champions League. But I don't think Alphonso Davies is there defensively, in my opinion. I think they could try him at attack or just keep trying to develop him because if you bought, my thing is this: you could have played a 3-back. This was your chance, but you brought in Mazraoui, so you were playing with a right back, so you have to play with a left back, I guess. Because when you were saying like Thomas Müller, false 9, I was thinking like, what if they do, like they could do this, they could do that. I was thinking of formations in my head, but they can keep trying to develop him defensively, which is totally possible because he's so young. So I don't know. Maybe this is a season where Bayern can just find their footing. Davies is like a really big star that they should probably give more attention to in terms of development rather than just trying to fill holes that are not going to be filled with like Lewandowski. Realistically, of course, they're going to win the league. but no shot do they win the Champions League. In my opinion, obviously anything's possible in the sport, and we have to see it play out. But I would not put a single penny on it.
I agree.
But to be fair, I would put if I bet like I would put my money on Man City, and I would have put my money on Man City last year too, and then I would have lost. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think the good bet for Champions League next year is just to bet Madrid again.
I don't know, man.
I've never met a dude that fronts for Madrid more and is also a Madrid hater. You
I'm
gotta
not a
be
hater. I'm just smart, bro.
You're too like you're realistic to the point where it's unrealistic.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I get what you just said, and that's amazing. Yeah. But you gotta realize that the person that knows the strengths of Real Madrid the most, you'd say is me, right? Since I'm the big fan in the podcast. You'd also have to admit then that conversely, I know the weaknesses the most.
That is fair.
I hate our weaknesses. So, like when I look at Real Madrid, Dani Carvajal's a liability. He's always injured. They never have a right back. Lucas Vázquez is not a winner, bro. He's not a winning Champions League winning right back. He's not. And it proved it because last year, every big game that Real Madrid won in Champions League, not every big game because Lucas Vázquez did play some big games, but the final stretch, semifinals, I think even quarterfinals, even quarterfinals because it was Dani Carvajal who put in the cross against Chelsea. I think. I might be wrong, but
against Chelsea, yeah.
Carvajal put in the cross for Rodrigo to win against Man City. Like that was Carvajal. Carvajal had the entire right side or left side locked up in the Champions League final. Like nothing came from that side. Like Luis Diaz was having a nightmare.
Now, if you guys like an actual like right wing that can come in, like if you guys get Mbappe, it's a wrap. If you guys
of course, but they did it. And now it's not possible.
So that's why it's still a competitive thing, and maybe it's finally here, maybe it's whatever. But
that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna put them at favorites if you have that much of a hole. Like yes, Fede Valverde is great, but you don't want to play your midfielder at right wing. You don't really want to do that, especially on his off foot. Like Valverde's a right.
It's just
right-footed player.
Midfielders that you have to get into the squad somehow. Like you have to get Valverde's of the quality. Like you have to get him into the squad.
Of course, I'm not saying he shouldn't play. I'm just saying
you have to get Tchouaméni into the squad next year. Like
they don't have to get him in. They just throw him in there here and there, just like Camavinga. But what I'm saying is that they have no right winger, and Vinicius is still like he's.
It's
last year. No, it's not. Like. No, it's not. But Vinicius, for right now, is a one-season wonder. If he proves it again, then he's no longer a one-season wonder. Left back Fernando gets injured here and there. They still have to figure out who they're going to bench because Alaba's a center back, Militao's a center back, and now they have Rudiger. So what's going to happen there? We know who's starting on midfield. We know who's starting at goalie. We know who's starting at striker. Right wing is a question mark. Vinicius has to prove himself at left wing. Carvajal is there sometimes. Left back is there sometimes. You see how there's a bunch of holes? That's why I'm not like, I'm not convinced. If they would have gotten Mbappe, then yeah, it doesn't matter, bro. You could play Lucas Vázquez at right back because every time we get the ball, we're gonna score, bro. But I don't know.
I mean, I just think one day when the pod listeners realize you're pulling off the craziest reverse jinx of all time. Just never know, man. You pulled it off for a year and you won the league. It's not enough. Rafa's too hungry.
Look at they needed a Ballon d'Or year from Benzema and like miracles at PSG, miracle at Chelsea, miracle in Man City. Liverpool is the only like normal win. They just won. They won the game. Not even because like Courtois was like God. Courtois was God that game. Courtois was God every game, but that game specifically.
He was amazing. Yeah. The reverse jinx just went crazy. That's all I think happened. Rodrigo listens to the podcast and he heard you talking about him bad. Had to come on, score some goals. You said Courtois was bad. You said Courtois was bad in like January, and Courtois heard that.
Never. You can look that up. I never said anything about Courtois. Courtois is the best goalie in the world, no question.
David Alaba heard you.
Yeah, Alba's trash. Cause oh my god, he's trash. He didn't do anything in Champions League either. Nacho was better than him.
No,
but whatever. Closing off on a Real Madrid note on this needs and wants episode. I think this is our final one, at least for the summer. Maybe we'll have some next summer, but maybe Connor will not be here. He will be making money.
I hope not. I hope I'm here broke forever.
Off the bar for life.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been our needs and wants episode. Bundesliga, a little bit of PSG because that's as far as I'm getting to Liga. And yeah, I've been Rafael dos Santos. This has been Connor O'Brien, and we will catch you next time.